if you're running in a big state like California or Florida, you know what? 30-second ads, that's going to win it for you. But you're exactly right. In a race like this, congressional district, it is knocking on doors. Peter King, I don't know how you first got elected. Let's bring in a Republican congressman from New York, Peter King. Peter, I don't know how you got elected the first time. Nobody knew who I was. And I knocked on 10,000 doors. I planted a lot of yard signs. You can win the way this guy won last night in congressional races. It doesn't happen often, but you can. But what happened?
First of all, Joe, I don't think anyone saw this coming. I know there's a lot of after-the-fact analysis. Yesterday, if you went around the House floor, people thought that if Eric got less than 65% of the vote, it would have been considered a defeat. It was just a question of how high his majority was going to be and whether or not Brat was going to get 25, 30, maybe 35% of the vote. Now, I've been listening to what you're saying about whether or not Eric had lost touch. I don't know. I'm not in that district. But I think there's more to it than that because, 2 years ago in the primary, he got 79% of the vote. And so I think it's a combination of maybe, once you're in leadership, almost by the nature of the job, you do get more removed from your district because you have national obligations to the party as a whole. And so you are traveling around, you are raising money.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, though. I mean, would you ever be in Washington, D.C. holding a fundraiser meeting in a Starbucks on the day of your primary election? That's unfathomable to me. Yeah. That's crazy. That's unfathomable.
Yeah, and I'm not, again, big into the fundraising. You asked how I got elected. Maybe I'm from a little different breed than you, Joe, in that I do believe in on-the-ground politics. I come from a political organization in New York. We have local clubs.
You can't be any more on the ground than me, knocking on 10,000 doors. The party's all against me. I mean, why do you hate when loving would be so much easier? This is a guy, may I remind you, Willie, guys, that told the Washington Post that he didn't know where Scarborough came from, but he knew that he was barefooted coming out of a tent revival in the Redneck Riviera.
And he's barefoot now, so you're right.
You hurt me, Peter. You hurt me.
Well, I'm glad I hurt you, but apart from all that, Joe, I was trying to agree with you in saying that there's different ways of getting it. You were on the ground going door to door. I came from a political organization where we were always on the ground. We had the local committeemen. We would hear people's grievances. I had been a town councilman. I'd been a county controller. I had a local law practice. So I was... so it was not big money. It was not Washington. And I ran against a guy who outspent me 4-1 and didn't understand the district. He was beating me by 10 points going into the last 2 weeks, and he stopped spending money. But I had troops on the ground. So I'm agreeing with you in a different way. You had your own people out there. I had a strong... I was part of a larger organization, and it was door to door.
He just can't come out and agree with me.
No.
Well, I agree with you, but I agree with you
in a different way.
So let me ask you, a serious question, Peter.
So what I'm getting at is, sure, you can't run campaigns in Washington. So
you sure can't. You're exactly right.
And there's different ways of doing it locally. You did it with your volunteers. I did it with my organization.
Right. So let me ask you, Peter, a serious question. Is immigration reform dead in the House over the next year or two?
My concern is that a lot of things are going to be dead and pushed to the side. I'm concerned that, for instance, the Ted Cruz supporters, the Rand Paul supporters are going to use this as an excuse to basically stop the government from functioning. I mean, thank God there is no debt ceiling vote coming up. Thank God there's not an opportunity to shut the government down over the next several months, because I think we could get bogged down in those type issues. I don't see, if they were there, I think we're going to see basically a status quo over the next 6 months, and we'll see what happens in November.
Let me bring in Sam Stein. Sam.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly the question I was going to ask, which is that two of the heresies that Cantor apparently committed was he voted to reopen the government and to raise the debt ceiling, which I think most people would logically say are obvious votes to take. So I'm wondering, I mean, you hinted at it, you said it, but how much of a rightward drift, or how much of a drift will your party take towards being completely opposed to President Obama on all grounds in the next couple months?
Well, it's not even being opposed to President Obama. I mean, raising the debt ceiling, you have to do it. And you have to also keep the government open. What Ted Cruz did last year was suicidal. I hope that doesn't become party policy. So we can't allow Eric's defeat last night, allow the Ted Cruzes and the Rand Pauls to take over the party, or their disciples to take over the party, because this is not conservatism. To me, shutting down the government is not being a conservative.
And one last question. Do you expect Congressman Cantor to remain as majority leader through his tenure through November?
I think that'll resolve itself. I don't want to be saying anything critical of Eric today, or even, because again, he was a friend. He's going to decide what he's going to have to do. I will say, though, that during the night, I was getting texts and emails from other people who said they want to run.
Who?
Asking for their support.
Who? That was my question.
Name names. Yeah, that's news.
No, yeah. I'm just saying I got them. So already the campaigns are beginning. And you're going to see coming from different wings of the party. But I think when I see different wings, it's going to be different wings of the conservative movement, and I hope it's not the Ted Cruz types.
Willie Geist.
Well, that's exactly. I was going to ask you to elaborate on that. What do you mean by the Ted Cruz types? You said last night that if we go the Ted Cruz route, we'll be marginalized as a responsible governing party. How do you mean that?
Okay, let's go back to last October. I think virtually all of us agree that the government shutdown by the Republicans was killing us. Thank God, politically, that Obamacare turned out to be such a failure in the rollout. Otherwise, the Republican Party, the overwhelming majority of the country, thought we were crazy. It was irresponsible. And yet we had so many Republicans following Ted Cruz doing that, thinking that was the way to go. And that alienated us from the country. It made them more popular in their districts. It made them stronger against their potential primary challenger, but it alienated the country, which makes it very difficult for us to win in 2016 and to be a national governing party.
Wow. Okay, Congressman Peter King, thank you so much.
Mika, thank you. Hey, Joe, get a pair of socks, will you? Get a pair of socks and, get out of the tent, will you?
It's just the hatefulness.
No, I mean, think about it, 7 years.
I tried to reach out. You want to know why not? Joy Reid, you want to know why nothing gets done in Washington, D.C.? It's because people like Peter King hate when loving what? Would be so much easier.
It's a good day when he's wearing shoes. Okay.
If I'm not wearing
Congressman Peter King, thank you.
Thank you, Mika. Say hello to Joe for me.
Okay. Well.
He never gets these from Long Island.
He's like,
tough.
Bam,
all right, Sam
bam,
Stein,
bam.
thank you so much. Ron Fournier, we love you. Joy Reid, stick around if you can. You can also catch Joy on the Reid Report at 2 p.m. on MSNBC. Joy doesn't come to the planning meetings anymore. She stays at home and takes them on the phone.
Yeah.
That's why the show's so much better now.
Coming
up next.